Now we come to the second part of the concept of government budgeting. In this part, we will discuss the stages in the presentation, stages in the approval of Indian budget from Parliament. First, let us see some of the constitutional provisions. Normally, the statement of budget should be statement of budget is caused to be laid in the Parliament by the President. Second, no money shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India without the approval of Parliament, that is, without a law. Third, no tax can be levied or collected except by authority of law. Except by authority of law. Four, here we can also see the role of Rajya Sabha. The role of Rajya Sabha is confined to only discussion on demands for grants. It does not have the right to vote on the demands for grants. Also, a money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha, or it should be introduced only in Lok Sabha. And there is also the concept of charged expenditure. Charged expenditure is that type of expenditure which is charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, which means Parliament has no right to vote on it. It can only discuss about the expenditure, but it does not have the right to vote on it. Thereby, it has no right to decrease it. So this charged expenditure constitutes this emoluments and allowances of the President of India, salaries and allowances of Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Speaker of Lok Sabha, or salaries, allowances and pensions of judges of Supreme Court and High Courts, or salaries, allowances of CAG, etc. Now let's come to the stages in the budgeting process. Normally the finance minister will present the budget to the Lok Sabha with budget speech. This will be done at the end of February. After the budget speech of finance minister is done, the budget is placed in the Rajya Sabha. When the budget is placed, next in the coming 3 or 4 days, there will be a general discussion on the budget as a whole. Budget as a whole, matlab discussion on general policies, etc. Here voting does not take place. After general discussion is over, the budget is referred, the various parts of the budget or various sector specific demands or ministry specific demands, ministry demand, are sent to the various departmental standing committees. This departmental standing committees are started in 1993. At that time they had 15. In 2004 they are increased to 22. So each departmental standing committee consists of 31 members, out of which 21 are from Lok Sabha, 10 are from Rajya Sabha. So these 31 members constitute one departmental standing committee, and some departmental standing committees are under the jurisdiction of Lok Sabha and some are under Rajya Sabha. So these departmental standing committees carefully scrutinize the demands by various ministries and they come up with the report. But the departmental standing committees cannot propose any cuts in the demands for grants. After the departmental standing committees present their views, then there will be a discussion for demands for grants. Here the discussion will be very deep or very specific. So each demand will be considered for discussion theoretically. So in this stage the members can propose cut motions. Cut motions are any motions to reduce the demand for any grant. So if members want a demand for any grant to be reduced, they'll move cut motions. They are of three types. One is policy cut, means the members totally disagree with the policy behind the demand. So they ask the demand to be reduced to rupee 1, which means it is total disapproval of the policy. Second, economy cut, means members feel that in a particular demand there can be economy, or the demand can be reduced so as to achieve economy. So they'll propose that this demand can be reduced by a specific amount. So this is economy cut motion. Third is token cut motion. In this token cut motion, members, for just expressing their disapproval, ask the demand to be cut by rupees 100. Here the demand is not actually reduced, but it shows the disapproval of the members towards the demand. After this discussion for demands of grants are put, then the demands or grants are put for voting. Actually 26 days are given for voting on the demands for grants. When on the final day, when there are some leftover grants to be voted upon, speaker through this concept of guillotine puts all the remaining demands to vote, so that the voting can be done in completely in the given time period. Now coming to vote on account. In the constitution it is laid down that no money can be spent without the approval of the parliament or without a law of the parliament, but that particular law comes through this appropriation bill. So appropriation bill, when it is enacted by parliament, lets the government take money from the consolidated fund of India for spending purposes. But this process of approval of appropriation bill and making it into a law will take place up to the end of April, but the financial year starts from April 1st. So to give money to the government for starting its spending activities, there is this concept called vote on account, whereby parliament approves some part of the budget, normally 1/6, means 2 months, for the government, so that it can start its spending activities. And when appropriation bill is enacted into a law, then government can legally spend the money. Coming to the finance bill is a bill which shows the taxation proposals and revenue generation proposals of the government. So when finance bill is enacted, then government gets the legal right to tax, to proceed with its taxation proposals. So after the enactment of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003. Now not only the budget has only receipts and expenditure, it also has to give three types of statements regarding how it is achieving fiscal discipline and macroeconomic management. So the first statement is medium term fiscal policy statement. This provides a 3-year rolling target for fiscal indicators. Actually, in the act, the fiscal targets are revenue deficit should be reduced to 0% of GDP. Revenue fiscal deficit should be reduced to 3% of GDP, and government borrowings from RBI should be made to 0. So this medium term fiscal policy statement provides a 3-year rolling target on how these fiscal indicators will be achieved. After this financial depression of 2008, the Parliament has abandoned these fiscal indicators, but now they are once again reinstating the indicators as per this act. The medium term fiscal policy statement also provides an assessment of the revenue deficit and on how capital receipts can be used to generate productive assets. As we can see, capital receipts here mean borrowings, recovery of loans, proceeds through the sale of shares. So how these can be used to generate productive assets, this medium term fiscal policy statement analyzes it. Next comes fiscal policy strategy statement. This is a tactical report. It provides strategies and policies relating to government's budgetary priorities and taxation policies, etc. Then next comes macroeconomic framework statement. This is mainly contains forecasts enumerating the growth prospects. Forecasts enumerating the growth prospects of the country, like GDP growth, balance of payments, etc. So with the coming of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, these three statements are regularly being provided by the government in the budget. So this covers the second part of the government budgeting series. And when in February government releases the budget, then Smart IAS will come up with the gist of the budget and economic survey, and also keep a track of current happenings, because questions in mains generally come from current events only, and all these are only background concepts. These are only background concepts for having a good foundation for the exam.